What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the spinoff. I am your host, Brian Knutson. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, Husker Nation, Green Bay Packer Nation, Esports Nation. I got somebody very special here with me today. Number 30 for Nebraska, Ahman Green. Number 3 all-time leading rusher in Nebraska history is only behind Micro's Amir Abdullah. Not too bad a company to have. Ahman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, thank you. You're welcome, Ryan. This has been, we've been working to get this connected, and finally we have. So I'm excited to be here. Go Big Red.
Absolutely. And not to mention all-time leading rusher for Green Bay. So, I got to appease the Packers fans. Absolutely.
Right, right. And I always bring, I won't say I always bring, but it's actually the first time I get to bring it up is when Amir, even though he passed me up, they started counting bowl season stats. So that is a big, for me, has an asterisk next to it. Because I'm just a sports fan. I know what he did. Hats off to him. But I'm like, they didn't count my bowl stats, so it's a little difference there.
Yeah, especially the one against Tennessee when they had Peyton Manning. I mean, come on, that was just all right. I'm not going to jump into the glory days, man. I could spend all day doing that.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, man,
we're trying to get back there. We're trying to get back.
Sure. Oh, we would love to have you back to visit. Absolutely. When you do, man, I got to get you to get a hold of me. I would love to meet you in person.
We got phone numbers and email, so we can do that.
All right. So look, obviously your athletic career is well touted. It's very well documented. Husker fans followed you almost from high school all the way through your pro career.
Mm-hmm.
How young were you when people started to see that there was something special there athletically?
Man, it probably started. It started when I was in high school. Started my freshman year. I came in back from living in Los Angeles, California, for my childhood, and once I got to, I say probably the first people were my parents. They raised me to be, humble, please and thank you, and working hard in whatever I did. And so playing little league football, I basically, I was good enough, and then my mom realized that I was about to go to high school. I was a eighth grader, about to go to Dorsey High School, which was a prominent high school at that time in Los Angeles, California. A lot of big college players, a lot of well-known college players came out of Dorsey, and then eventually they will go on to the professional levels in football, baseball, basketball, some Olympic athletes out that same high school. So very athletic, say, infrastructure of athletes coming out of Dorsey High, but it's in a gang territory in Los Angeles. And she remembers me coming home from when I was in seventh and eighth grade, fifth grade, watching the high school football games play on Friday night. And I'm telling her I got to hit the ground dodging bullets. And she's like, "Nah, I don't want to. Come and watch you play. You're senior, you're freshman, you're junior, your senior year in high school, and I got to dodge bullets. I'm not. We're gonna get out of here. We had enough of this type of this life environment around us. So she got me back home to the Midwest. Of course, I wasn't happy about that because to me as a 13-year-old, my whole life was out there. Friends, girlfriends, the weather, everything was like. I was like, no, I don't. Who do I know in Nebraska? She's like, boy, you got family out there. Your brothers live there. Your sister lives there. Your cousins, your uncles, your aunties. And I'm like, whatever. I want California. I want LA. So we get back there. So those were the first people because my mom knew that I was going to continue to get better and rise and playing high school sports at the time, And then once I got to Nebraska, I went to Omaha North for the first 2 years of my high school career. And then it was my teammates and my teammates and coaches and players that I played with and against, when I was at Omaha North. And my freshman year, I didn't play high school football, actually. I played for the North Omaha Boys Club Bears. And the reasoning was the fact that, like I said, I was 13, but I was smarter than the average Bear. And my brother, Jerry, who was a police officer for 20 plus years in the Omaha Police Department, that summer, December of 1991, he brought me to the East-West Shrine football game that was played right there in Memorial Stadium. And I watched this game. I was excited because it's players, high school football players in Nebraska, seeing how they ball out. And I'm watching these guys, and I'm watching. It was Tony Veland. He played. This was the game he played in, and I'm like, I was like, that's the quarterback. And I'm like, to me, he was this huge. He was 6', 210. He was chopping them up, juking them, option left, option right, running the ball himself. And then I think he played a little defense too. And then I seen the old linemen. These old linemen were big. I'm coming from Little League football in California. I did see some high school football, but I wasn't really paying attention to I guess I didn't pay attention to the size of the players. Like I saw the fast players, like a Lamont Warren, like a Keyshawn Johnson, who I watched play out there. And these guys, so when I come to Nebraska, I'm like, wait a minute, it just clicked in. Like, these guys are big. And the only reason it clicked in was that the high school I was at, Omaha North, Coach Colvin, had, obviously recognized who my brothers were, Nikki and Jerry Paul. My dad, David Green, who was an outstanding athlete in high school in his time. My uncle, Michael Green, who was a running back at Nebraska way back in the 70s. So he knew that I was coming from good pedigree, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, well, Ahman, would you want to play varsity football as a freshman? And I'm like, yeah, but all right, let me think about it. I don't know. But let's see. And so when my brother took me to this game, I'm like, wait a minute. I said, bro, are these dudes like varsity players for all their high schools? He's like, yeah. I'm like, let me second guess this request to play varsity, because I was only 155 pounds soaking wet my freshman year. Okay.
Oh.
So like I said, I was smarter than the average bear, and I knew, okay, I'm 155. For kids my age, I'm okay. I'm dominant. I could play. I could get hit. It doesn't hurt too bad. But I'm like, these guys are the quarterback was 210 pounds. I'm like, he was 100 pounds. That's the quarterback. And these old linemen are huge, like 250, 260. So I'm like, I said, bro, so we driving back home from Lincoln to Omaha. My brother's about to drop me off. And I said, bro, can you call the high school coach for me and let him know? I talked to him. I talked to my dad. And he's like, my dad ended up calling and explaining the story. I don't know what exactly he told me. Hopefully he didn't tell me what I just told everybody. I always tell this story. But he was okay with it. The coach was like, okay, I understand. And so I played for the North Omaha Boys Club Bears. And we had an outstanding, long story short there, we had an outstanding season. I came in, everybody didn't, all the kids my age didn't know me, but the parents knew me. Michael Carter was my head coach. And my brother, Nicky Paul, was my running backs coach. So that was awesome to spend that time with him. And we went through the gambit of playing Kingswood, OHA, and the Gladiators. And we went 12-1, and we won the city championship for the 13-year-old teams or age group. And what was the kicker at the end was that Kingswood beat us in the first game of the season. Our very first game was against Kingswood at Father Flanagan High School, which is not a high school anymore. And it took them triple overtime to beat us. So we lost by a point. It was like 14-15 or 14-13, something like that, in triple overtime. And I was the team captain, and of course everybody's upset that we lost. And I'm like, look, think about this. We just played the best team. This is me. Like I said, my mom and dad, the way to raise me, I was like, sports IQ was like way up. So I was like, think about this, guys. I said, we just lost to the best team in the city in triple overtime. What you think is going to happen the next season, next weeks of the games if we play the way we played today? It's like we could go undefeated and then face them again in the city championship. Let's do that. And everybody's like, yeah, let's do that. And that's what we did. We went basically 11-0 or 12-0 and beat everybody in the city, and then played them and then beat Kingswood in the city championship. But what the kicker was this: we beat them, and not even 2 days after that, our coach got a call from, I guess, the Little League committee, I don't know, that ran our schedule, and said that, I don't know exactly. Maybe he said it to get us motivated, because it got us motivated the way he put it to us. He said, Coach, guys, he said, I just found out that you guys, to have like the all out championship of Omaha, that you got to play the other Kingswood team, which was the older team. They were 14, 15-year-olds. And we're like, I was like, let's do it. I'm like, no problem. My brothers, beat me up all the time. I know how to play against older kids because growing up in LA, I was 8, 9, 10, 11 playing with 13, 14, 15-year-olds, getting hit by them. So in my head, it clicked. I was like, no, let's get it. I was like, game on. I said, so we played a week later in University of Omaha Stadium. So right there in Omaha, UNO
Yep.
Stadium.
Mavericks.
Yeah, the Maverick Stadium. So we played in that stadium. And I tell you, Brian, I had to be negative. It was negative. It was like negative 10 degrees. It was so cold that at halftime, we weren't drinking Gatorade. We were drinking hot chocolate, and the coaches were drinking coffee. That's how cold it was. We wasn't even thinking about water. We wasn't even thinking about Gatorade. And we ended up beating them, because of that remark. They said we had to play this older team, and they were older. They were bigger than us. And we smashed them. I would say it was like 50-something to 10 or 14. It wasn't even pretty because we were mad because we was like, oh, okay, we thought we won already, and now we got to do this. Okay, I say we not happy about this. We got to play. Okay, and we did. We bam, we beat them up.
And see, you kind of touched on what I was about to ask too. Coming from California, what was that first winter like in Nebraska for you?
It wasn't. I adjusted pretty quick. It was like an eye opener. Like, oh man, I gotta get a beanie. I gotta get a winter coat. I gotta get boots. I can't wear my nice shoes out in the snow and the salt because it's gonna mess them up. All that stuff. So it was an adjustment, just like adjusting from moving from California with the weather. I have to find new friends my age and getting reconnected with my family and everything, which was all good. It was just me being a kid, not understanding everything, and I think any kid would have reacted the way I did. Like, wait a minute, we're moving from where to where? Like, who? What? Wait a minute. I gotta do what? Oh man, I think so. Yeah, it was just adjustment time, and but yeah, that winter. So that was the winter playing that game, but it was more emotional. The emotional side of it was like, okay, we won, but we got to do more. Okay, no problem. Let's go out here and kick their butt. It's negative 35 degrees. It was cold. It was so cold. But we were in the game. It was excitement, and most of us were playing, and I played both sides of the ball, so I never really got cold until halftime. And then when the game was over, walking to the car because I was always moving, which was good. And I learned, okay, playing in cold weather, you're fine as long as you're moving. Keep moving. You're not gonna get cold.
So which one was colder in your opinion than playing in Lambeau Field or playing in Lincoln? In Lambeau, you do play later in the season, so obviously you're going to get way worse and way colder.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you were to play in Lincoln at that time of year, which one would you rather have?
I would say it doesn't matter to me, either one, because I'm basically, because I've been living in Wisconsin now for 20 plus years. So I'm very adapted to both. At that time, Lincoln home, Nebraska was home, so it was no big deal too. So that's the little X factor I think I had on myself, that it was about me, that players didn't think and coaches didn't think about it. It's like they had this running back that from Nebraska. They knew, okay, he's used to cold weather, but they didn't really know how I reveled in the cold weather. Actually, I played better in cold weather because that's where I was raised pretty much. Once I got to high school, playing at Omaha North, playing at Omaha Central for the Bears, playing at Nebraska. So going to Seattle was a luxury. It just rained all the time. It got as cold as 35 degrees. But then when I got traded to Green Bay, back to the Midwest, everybody that knew me was like, oh, he grew up here. He played in the Midwest. So people that didn't know me, like the Vikings, the Lions, the Broncos, stuff like that. When they, I get to the NFL, I get to Green Bay, they think, oh man, he's gonna have to a little trouble adjusting to the weather. It's so cold in Lambeau. It was like a brown rabbit in a briar patch. I was like, oh man, this is comfy. I know. I've been in Lincoln. We had our cold days in Lincoln. I had my cold days in Omaha high school football, playing in ice rain games where I had to put on my teammates' gloves so I could feel the ball. It's like it was nothing But okay, just it's another location, different address. Same people cheering on me, crazy Packer fans and crazy Husker fans. The only difference between them is the colors they wear. That is it. That is it.
See, that sounds about right too, because everything I ever hear about Packers fans, they are just as loyal and crazy as we are as Husker fans. So
Exactly.
you got
Yeah.
to admire that.
No, I love it. That's what I was as a player. That's what I love. I mean, because I knew what I was into. I knew I was at, even though it was like unexpectedly to get traded here, it was still a blessing in disguise. Because once I had my first mini camp, okay, it was just mini camp. Right after I got traded, like a week after I got traded, it was just mini camp, and it was stands filled for practice. Mini camp. We're in May. It was like, so it just reminded me of the spring game. I'm like, we get 80,000 in spring game for every offseason. So I'm like, oh, this doesn't shock me too much. Other players like, oh my God, why did you hear? I had players from, I had Steve. Like, what was interesting, Steve was up here. Steve Warren was here with me. Scott Frost, Erwin Sweeney. So it was almost Nebraska North. We called it for a little bit. But so those three guys, including me, we were not surprised about the Packer fan. We were like, oh, we dealt with this before, it was that. And then but the other guys from other schools, Florida State, Oklahoma, that we traded in or drafted in, they were like, man, what's going on here? What is this practice? Why are they showing? I'm like, man, these fans, this is their life. They know they hype about this. And I was like, we're used to this. We was in Lincoln, Nebraska. We know exactly how these fans are. They're gonna be there no matter what, rain, sleet, or snow. They're gonna be supporting us. Practice or a real game, they're gonna be supporting us.
Yeah, that's definitely a fan base, right? That's what you call a fan base. So, all right. So, how was your recruiting process? What was it like as far as who ultimately made you make your decision that Nebraska is going to be it?
It came down to obviously me taking the visit, and then Coach Osborne basically being a part of that process. So I remember when after my visit, I think it was before my visit actually, and it was pretty much my mom. It was pretty much my mom. She made that decision for me, and I'm like, hold up, I gotta. This is where I'm going, not you. But when Coach Osborne came to my house to recruit me, and we were living in Omaha on I believe Saratoga Street, which is not far from downtown, and or not Saratoga, Seward Street. And he came in to visit. We talked probably me, my mom, and dad talked for probably 45 minutes to an hour. And in the conversation, I know my dad asked a question about me and my playing time my freshman year. Will Ahman get to play anytime during his freshman season if he comes to Nebraska? And Coach Osborne basically said simply, if he studies the playbook, he works hard in the weight room, conditions himself ready to play, and he learns the plays, then he'll have an opportunity to get on the field. And then to my dad, that's like, okay, just do your job. You work hard, be disciplined in what you do, hit the classes, hit the books, and hit the weight room. You be good. And that's something all that I did. I was a scholar athlete. I was a honor roll student, and I ran track and obviously played football my entire life. So it was like, all right, just keep doing the things that I've been doing. And for that appeased my dad. He was like, okay. He's like, that's you're not gonna start right away, but as long as you do this, you'll be able to get some carries, some play time. And then my mom asked a few other questions, and then like I said, about an hour or so they talked, and then Coach Osborne left. And yeah, that was actually before he left. I think she said, well, to her, she was like, wait a minute. She said she put it all together. She did her little mathematical parenting equation problem in her head, and she looked at it like this. She's like, because I had Tom Osborne, I had Lou Holtz, I had Gary Muller from Michigan. I think I'm saying his name right, or I don't know. And then had Dick Tomey from Arizona, and Lou Paterno, and no, not Lou Paterno, Joe Paterno from Penn State. So
Wow.
those are the coaches that were recruiting me, and those were the top 5 coaches in college football at that time. And out of the 5, the only one that visited me at my house was Tom Osborne. And to my mom, she was like, That's a no-brainer right there. You sure even though, yeah, I'm in state, he's in state, he's 50 miles away, maybe that, but still it's like all these other colleges at that time sent other people, not the head coach. Like they sent their recruiters, and maybe my mom may not understand the system that maybe the head coach has other recruits to go after, but she's like to her, well, if you're a top recruit, then you need to send the head coach here, not just your assistant coaches or your recruiting coach that just recruits kids. If you're a top prospect, I respect that Tom Osborne came here because he knows, the value that you would bring to the Nebraska team. And she's like, you're going there, period. And I'm like, Mom, hold up. I got some visits to do. But yeah, that's what makes to that right there, to that extent. Once I took my visit, I went through that process of visiting Arizona first, and then in Nebraska after that. Then I went to Michigan, and then Notre Dame. And I had it scheduled to go to Penn State in between Nebraska and Arizona. But for whatever reason, they wanted me to verbally commit to Penn State. And I told them I wasn't going to do that because I didn't want to lie to them, because I didn't want to come there. I didn't want to say, yeah, I'm coming to Penn State. Then I take a visit there. Then I'm like, man, I don't like this place. I don't want to then change my mind. So I said, no, I'm not going to come because I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to say, oh, yeah, I'm coming. I haven't seen it. I haven't talked to players. I haven't talked to coaches. I haven't seen the state or the campus, which I heard that Happy Hollow is a beautiful campus. I've had some of my NFL teammates play there. Marco Rivera is one. He played college ball there. Great guy, Hall of Fame Packer player as well. And but it was just still like I wanted to come and see it before I committed to it. So yeah, like I said, no, I won't. I will not come. I appreciate it, but all right. So I just went to Nebraska, Arizona, Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, and Michigan. Went to those four.
Out of those visits, did any of them like pique interest to where this could be a possibility?
Yes, yeah. It was Arizona actually, and the reason why is because it wasn't far from where I grew up. Being in Arizona, it was I think 3.5, 4 hour drive to Los Angeles from Tucson, Arizona. And with that was the fact that a lot of the players that I played Little League football and baseball with or against, there was like 2 or 3 or more. It was like 5. It was like 5 players that was on that roster that were either my Little League teammates in baseball or football or my opponents. They played on the other team, but I remembered them. We played against each other. So we kind of knew each other, and not kind of, we knew each other. So I was like, oh, okay, at least I know somebody here. Cause I didn't think, Arizona, I was going to find somebody that I knew there. Notre Dame too, and Michigan. It was 1 or 2 players I might've heard of, but didn't know personally. So at Arizona, I personally knew some players. And then obviously at Nebraska, I did too. I'm like Clinton Childs. I knew we went to high school together at Omaha North. So that part was huge. So when I got, to that, I'll say moment, then it was just, great. It was a great feeling to get that decision made and, and moved on from there to be ready to be a Cornhusker.
Hey, it obviously worked out in your favor. I mean, multiple national titles. Like I said, 3rd leading rusher on the all-time leading rushers list.
Asterisk.
Exactly. And look, I am going to go back. We get done with this. I'm going to go back, look at your bowl game stats. I'm going to add that up. I'm going to personally see if that would put you past Amir and put you at
the bowl stats. Yeah, the bowl
exactly.
Stats.
I'm going to add that in. So I'll get a hold of you after that. Once we're all done, I'm going to put it together for you.
Yeah, because it was I know I finished with 3,880, right? 3,880, and I had 200 plus in the bowl in the championship game, and then 52 in the Virginia Tech game. Then I don't know what I had. I can't remember what I had in the Orange Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl when we beat Florida. I can't remember that game, but I know I had some carries. I know I had some yards.
Yeah, a lot of people got carries in that one and got a lot of yards in that one. So,
yep.
All right. This is just kind of a what if question for my audience, and maybe yourself. Maybe you haven't put a lot of thought into this, but what career path would you have chosen if football hadn't worked out the way it did?
Baseball.
Really? Okay, you've got to let us know. What positions did you play in baseball?
Outfield. I was center, left, right, all through high school, Little League. And this is the only thing, like, I brought it up to, I think I only brought it up to Coach Osborne one time after the fact. So during his recruiting process, and then when he came to my house, like I said, I don't know how it came up, but I said I'm a dual athlete. I'm gonna play baseball. I would like to play baseball in the springtime, and this is knowing, spring football. I know that was a thing, but I'm like, I rather I would love to do that because obviously I'm resting my body, and it was something I grew up doing. I grew up playing football in the fall. Then when the spring come around, I was playing baseball, and so. And what I know now, what I know about strength and conditioning, I've been certified in it, that it's a good transition for athletes to play other sports because it makes you more dynamic. It rests your body parts that you were using in that sport. So football, your whole body gets a break from doing stuff. When you go do something, when you go play baseball or basketball, your whole body takes a break because you're not hitting the ground. You're not getting hit by 300-pounders, 250 linebackers, stuff like that. So your entire body gets a rest. And so now you're doing the hitting. You're hitting the baseball. And catching and throwing it to your first baseman or the shortstop cutoff. So I asked that, and he said, yeah. But then when it came to it, I was contacting the baseball coach, and I think I'm trying to think his name. Last name might have been Anderson, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, his last name, and he was excited. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, yeah, I'm excited. Spring's here." I'm like, "I'm excited too. I'm ready to get on the field with your coach." And then like I'm like getting ready for baseball, and like I'm thinking about my glove and I'm like how I'm going to hold the bat this season. And Coach Soldier's like, so you gotta get ready for spring ball. Where you going? I'm like, what you mean? Yeah, spring baseball, right? He's like, no, you gotta be out here on this football. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'll say, you know what, Coach? He's like, well, you got to do this so you don't lose your position. I'm like, that's okay. I mean, I don't mind going through training camp and earning my position back. I've been competing my whole life, so that's okay. But that was just like, it was just more of like, no, you got to come do this. I'm like, oh. But the crazy thing about it, every spring ball, I was only healthy for one. I had a strained quad right after and that's my body was tired.
Yeah.
Come on, coaches, my body was tired. I was done. I did the football that counted was during the regular season. That's what counted. This was just for the younger players to get better. I mean, obviously I got better because I got to study film more, but I wanted to be on that baseball field so bad. I wanted to be because Ken Griffey Jr. was my one of my idols, Bo Jackson, and he did it. It was just something that I always wanted to do since I saw Bo do it, and I knew Ken Griffey. He was a former football player himself when he was in high school. That was my motivation. Like I know that if they could do it, I could do it. I could go out there, hit the ball for the Big Red, and knock it out. Have some home runs too, along with touchdowns. I thought it would be a cool thing. So didn't get the opportunity, but it is what it is.
So did you kind of ever keep up with your baseball skills at all? Just here and there, just maybe working on fielding and batting, anything like that?
Yeah, no, I did. And it was the first thing once I got out of football when I retired. That's the first thing I did. It just happened. One of my wife's high school friends was part of this baseball academy down in Florida. And we met up with him. I met him in 2010. And so that's probably the time. That's when I was playing for the Omaha Nighthawks. And then right after that, when that season ended, I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm sitting at 33 at that time. And baseball, that's just getting into your career at 33, So I was like, I still got a shot. And so I went down to this baseball academy down in, it was just north of Miami, Florida. It was Weston, Florida. And it was the Baltimore Orioles training facility. And it was their scout. So their scout, the Baltimore Orioles scout had his own little compound baseball that he rented out. And he had players from all over the country and all over the world would come there to train to become prospects for the Orioles, but then become prospects for Major League Baseball teams. And so I was there. It was these kids. It could have been my own kid from South America and the Caribbean that were there, and other kids from Boston, New York, California, Florida, coming in there. And a lot of them, some of them were football fans too. So they're like, "Wait a minute, Ahman Green. Why do I know that name?" And I was like, oh no, Packer running back then. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you play baseball? I'm like, yeah, man. I played it. I just now I'm getting it. I got to wake my bat up. And like I knew the fielding snap back quick. Being in the outfield, catching fly balls, throwing the ball in. Just learning how to use my body again, throwing the ball where it's more my body than my arm. All that kind of it snapped back. The first couple of times my arm was sore, but then once I started to learn, get my relearn how to hold my core while I threw the ball, then that came back. It was just right at I was there for like almost a month. I was there for a month, and right at the last week of the month, that's when my bat woke up. I was catching the speed of the ball. I was seeing the movement of the ball out of the pitcher's hand, and I was just getting it. I was hitting it because before that I was striking out, and then it was a lot of fly balls, which is good because that means you're getting your timing down. And then that last week I started cranking. I think I knocked 2 out of the park that we practiced at during that last week, and then I just put I told the guy that I'm definitely interested, so give me a phone call. If a team is interested, if they want me to fly me, if I need to fly somewhere to get a tryout or whatever, and just nothing came of it. So I was like, well, I said, look, I tried. That's how I look at things in life. At least try. And I could say I gave it my best effort, which I did. I was there in Florida away from my family for a whole month. And I gave it my best effort. I was waking up at 6 a.m. East Coast time, getting ready for practice, warming my body up because I was 33. They were 15 and 16 and 20-year-old kids out there living, going where I once was, in terms of going to college and going to high school, but they could, go pro in baseball. So I had to get up early, warm my body up. I was out on that field probably like by 7, and that Florida sun was. So I'm like, man, I can't wait to move it back to the sun. that helped me wake up a little bit better. And just watching some of the it was a few pros came in, a few pro pitchers came in, and we would talk football, baseball, we talk professional training, and some of the stuff that I would do, they did, to help with their core as pitchers. And so that was interesting to, exchange that information between those pro pitchers.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say at least you tried, because I'm pretty sure it was Wayne Gretzky that said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. I was a
So
baseball
who's
player.
to say it couldn't have worked out?
Exactly. Yeah, and that would have been awesome to have opportunity to play for. I mean, I really didn't have no set major league baseball team that I followed. I mean, I grew up, I watched Ken Griffey, so I was kind of a Mariners fan because he was a Mariners for so long. And then I was a little bit of a Dodgers fan because I grew up in Los Angeles. But then when I came back to Omaha, we didn't have no major league team. We had the Omaha Royals, and I believe what it's the Barnstormers now or something. They are major league or triple A team or double A team there now in Omaha, between Omaha and Lincoln. So it was either the Royals or the Cubbies or the White Sox. Being a fan of them, and but I was just a sports fan, so I watched them all. I knew what players they had. I knew the pitching. I knew the organizations in terms of what World Series they won. So it would have been great. It would have been another dream living, kind of like I say. But I ended up finding another path in esports and video games.
Exactly, and that's perfect. A great segue for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Man, that was perfect. So that's exactly what I was going to go into anyway. We'll get into what your head coaching gig is now. We'll get into that in just a moment.
Okay.
But with you being such a public figure and being a part of esports, obviously you're going to bring kind of somewhat of a different fan base with you, as far as everybody that's been following your athletic career. Esports has really boomed. And I mean, you can make a very, very lucrative living just by esports alone.
Yeah.
So what would you say the evolution of gaming, where do you think that really began? Where did the esports, where is the genesis of that in your mind?
Well, like for me personally, or just in general, like I kind of know the history of esports too, but obviously, if you want me to tell mine.
For you personally, what was it that hooked you into the esports world?
I say for one, I was a gamer. That's how I start there first. It happened when I was growing up in Los Angeles. My dad bought me a ColecoVision. I had Donkey Kong, I had Zagzon, and I was 5, 6 years old. And I started just grinding on that, as we say today, grinding, gaming, trying to beat those levels on Zagzon, trying to get to the girl at the top of the little construction site that Donkey Kong was, at the top doing that. And so using the barrels, using that hammer to jump over and all that. So that's where it started. And then so my video game passion and video game playing was basically, side by side of me and school and sports. It was basically right there the whole time because it was my downtime. It was the time that I spent, by myself playing video games or watching movies. So I was the baby of the family. So I was last out the house. So, and by far, so my brothers and sisters that I grew up with, they were 15, 16 years apart from me. So when I was born, they are in high school. And then by the time I become, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, and on to teenage years, they were moved out the house. And so I was by myself a lot, which was, no big deal. I learned how to do it. Good morning, Verse. And so then that's how I was able to, dig into it hard because then it was an easy way to entertain myself. I figured out how to entertain myself being a kid. But then having Super Mario Brothers, Contra, Commando, Legend of Zelda, and what else? Castlevania, all the fun old school Nintendo Entertainment games were just awesome. And then my dad, he worked IT a little bit at a company in Los Angeles called Northrop. So he worked on computers. And I remember when he brought the first Apple II computer, which was as big as a table, huge table, 3 feet by 4 feet, a computer with the screen might have been, the computer was huge, but the screen was probably like that big on it. And I was playing Carmen Sandiego and Oregon Trail on those. And like, I was like, even though the graphics were whatever, I didn't care. I was like, this is fun. I was, putting in the answers because I really like geography. And so, knowing what places were, I kind of knew. I was like, oh, I know the answer to that question, so I would type that in and it was just fun. And so it stayed with me. So when I wasn't playing football, if I wasn't outside playing baseball or going to practice or studying, getting my homework done, I was playing Nintendo. Then it was Sega Genesis. And then that's when Madden started for me. I think it was like 1989 and I was like 11 or 12 years old then. And that's when I had my first rage and only rage in my life, playing Madden, telling my mom that the game cheated me and I broke the controller. And she said, you break it, you buy it, boy. We ain't buying you another controller. And so that's when the rage started and ended all simultaneously. Then I went to my dad's toolbox, grabbed the flathead or the Phillips screwdriver, unscrewed my controller, grabbed the button, put it back in with some crazy glue and electrical tape, and it worked. And I was like, whew, because I was like 11 years old, no job. Or I had a job, I had chores in the house, but I was like, I don't have this money to get another controller. I only have like 10, 15 bucks. This thing is like 30, 40 bucks. So I learned then not to rage. I better take a couple breaths, put the controller down, walk away. But then Sega Genesis, and then what was after Sega for me was because I had Sega for a long time. I think I had Sega all the way to when I got to to Nebraska.
So then, were you a Sega guy more than a Nintendo guy then?
I was both. I had both. I was playing my Nintendo and my Sega around the same time. Then what happened was, got back to Nebraska, I gave my Nintendo to one of my nephews. And I know right then and there, I know now that was the worst mistake of my life at that time. The worst. Because my nephew, Brandon, loved him to death, but his 2 younger sisters, Natalia and Giovanni, they were 2 and 3 years old, or 1 and 3 and 1. And I'm like, I come home and I gave it to him. It wasn't even 2 weeks. And we came back over to my sister's house. And I'm like, Brandon, let's play some Tecmo Bowl. Let's jump on the Nintendo. So I go in his room. I see the Nintendo. The Nintendo, it's like, look, all right, look a little dusty. It was all right though. And I'm like, turn on the TV, and I say, grab a game, I put it in, and the game wouldn't turn on. The system went. I'm like, what? Then I looked at the controllers. The controllers were destroyed. I'm like, I say, I don't have a dog, but what happened here? I'm like, he said, Natalia Giovanni, uncle. I'm like, no. No, you destroyed him. He couldn't play because the system the power cord got ripped out and messed up. The controllers got jacked up. I was like, no.
Oh.
So So that's when I was like, all right, I'm keeping my systems. You know, I love my family. I love my close friends. I'm keeping my systems in for the rest of my life. So, because I know I take care of them. So it was just that. So that was then I was heavy Sega Genesis because there was no more Nintendo. It died. Or it was murdered by a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And then PlayStation 1 came out when I was in college. So that was 1995, 96, somewhere. 1995, exactly.
Yep.
And actually, and that's just when it continued, man. Like the graphics was crazy, dude. And then that's when I found out about, I already knew about Street Fighter, but then Tekken came out. And I was like, oh, this is dope. This is sweet. This game is nice. This is because I wasn't good at Street Fighter. So I was like, I found a fighting game I'm good at because I was good at Madden. I was good at like the RPG games, you know, the story games. And it's because you're playing a role. So it's just beating the game. But then the games that were competitive, because I was not N64 and James Bond came out, GoldenEye came out. I sucked. I was not good at it.
Don't feel bad. Same here.
I was getting destroyed by Steve Warren and his class. They were working me. It was bad. And they called me target practice. I was like, hey, G, in the game, target practice. Oh, man. And then that was PlayStation 1 and 2. Then I came back. So I went pro and came back to finish my degree in Lincoln. And that's when Lanero McPherson was there. So an old Central grad, go Eagles. And that's when I got introduced to Halo. And again, I was target practice. I was getting worked. They had Larnell and all of his class, 01, 02 kids. We had the Ethernet cables, the HDMIs all plugged in through the house. So we had our own little hub of Halo, and we were going at it. But like I said, I was target practice. I was just learning how good I was not at this game, but I still loved it. It was fun because we were, hanging out. I'm getting to know these, I'm in the league 2-3 years now, and I get to share my experiences with them and what they need to know. And then we're just sitting there gaming. And so that's the other part of gaming. That's like, man, I get to hang out with these young guys. Wasn't much younger than me. Just 2-3 years younger than me. But, even though I'm gonna get my butt kicked, but we're still having a good time here playing video games.
So what were your go-tos then for each generation? Your Segas, then your PlayStations. What was always the go-to that I've got this, nobody can take me?
I say in the Sega Genesis, which like I said, some of the RPG games it's just about playing the game and knowing how to beat it, was Altered Beast. If you remember that game.
I do.
And then Sega had Madden. So yep. I was pretty good. And Madden's been there all the whole time. It just, I was always playing against friends and family. So I could beat my friends and family, but I didn't, once everything went online, it was like, oh man, I'm playing against people that they ridiculous. They like me on the football field. It's like, oh my God, they are good.
It's their job.
Yeah. And so that happened. That, online didn't happen until I think 1998, 1999 play. And actually not even then. This was even, I think it was more like 2000. Once I got here to Green Bay, that's when I was actually playing online on Halo, playing online with Madden. But say Sega Genesis, like I said, was Altered Beast and Madden. PlayStation 1 was Tekken. That's when I got a fighting game under my belt, along with Madden and NBA Live. I was good at the NBA games, and then also Sega was remember Jordan versus Berg, Lakers versus Celtics. I was good at all the basketball, like all the sports games I had down. Baseball RBI on Nintendo, that was another one, game changer I was good at. So like the sports games I had down, because I'm an athlete. I should know. I should be good at the sports games at bare minimum. Be good at the sports games, and I never was a fighter, but then when Tekken came out, I was like, okay, good. I got football, I got baseball, I got basketball. Now I got Tekken. So I'm like, all right, I'm very well versed gamer right now, and I play RPGs. Legend of Zelda, Altered Beast, and when the shooters came out, that's when like GoldenEye and Halo. I was like, all right, I gotta step my game up. I'm like, I'm getting lit up. I'm like, my KDA had to be -80 if that even. It was bad. Like I said, Steve Warren, Lornell McPherson, his class, they were murking me. It wasn't even pretty. So I was like, all right, I gotta get my shooter, my F. That's when I, before FPS was words put together. That's was like, all right, I gotta get my FPS game up. So it started with GoldenEye, and I got better. But I wasn't finishing. I said, but how I gauge me getting better, I wasn't finishing at the bottom of the scoreboard. I was in the middle of the pack by the time me and Steve and whoever. After I don't think who else was there. Can't remember who else, but it was a lot of Cornhuskers. I think it was Richie Incognito. He played a little bit, and whoever was part of those classes, and then my nephews was another part of destroying me on Halo. Once Halo 3 came out, my two nephews, Zach and Preston, oh my God, it was just like, okay, I think I got these because I'm an adult now. I'm like 25. They're like 15, 16, and that didn't mean nothing. They wore me out. And so it made me work harder, just like when my brothers beat me up, and then I go play football against other kids, then it was nothing. So I was like, all right, they're beating me up. They just get me ready for whoever I got to face next. And I got better at Halo 3. I played all three. I played all the. I have all the Halo. That's my favorite shooter of all time is Halo for me personally. And now Call of Duty's in the mix now because I coach it, so I've been on it a lot. But yeah, so that was Xbox One, 360 was the Halo. Those are my go-to. Madden was all my go-to. And then I'm trying to think because I still got some laying around. The older ones. Oh, like once PlayStation 3 came out, God of War.
Oh,
that was a heavy RPG, just a smash. You just hit buttons and chop everybody into mixed meat, blood and gore. Just like, oh, I could just do this all day. Hit the X button all day with the little swords with the knives on them. It was awesome. Or the swords with the chains on them. They just. So that was PlayStation 3. I still play, but I say game changer though, a fun game. It was on PlayStation 2. I still have the disc, and actually, I came up on this PlayStation 2 was Def Jam Vendetta.
Oh man, you're reaching way back.
Right. So PlayStation 2, it came out on PlayStation 2, and then a little bit on 3.
Yep.
And I just met a guy who works for Def Jam 2 years ago at E3, and they said they're working on it, but COVID delayed everything, which is fine with me. I'm like, I'd rather have a finished product, as we know,
yep,
with Cyberpunk and Halo Infinite being pushed back. I'm like, work on it nicely, get it good, because you got new rappers today. Trust me, I don't mind jumping off the top rope on Fetty Wap or whoever y'all have. If it's Amigos, whoever, I want to come across the top rope, virtually anyway. Wow. Because they had Ludacris, they had I think they had Exhibit, they had Snoop Dogg,
Method Man, Redman,
Method Man, yep.
Yes.
Wu-Tang,
DMX was in there.
He was on there. Like basically a lot of the Wu-Tang members were there for sure. They had I think Ghostface was there.
Yep.
ODB might have been on there. I know Ludacris is on there.
Was Busta Rhymes in there?
I'm not sure. I gotta play the game and I'll let you know. I'll text you.
All right, so I said we were going to get to this, and here it is. Just last February, almost a year ago, to the day, you were hired at Lakeland University as their first esports head coach. How did that happen? How did that come about? How did they approach you for this?
It came about because one of my buddies up here, Larry Marcus, and I hope his family. Shout out to him and his family because his son just got diagnosed with some rare cancer, and he's a military kid. He's out in North Carolina. I believe there now. He had surgery last week, so shout out to him. Hope surgery, everything went good for Theo. Theo is only, 23, 24 years old, so hopefully everything went good with his surgery. So shout out to him and his family, and his wife Rebecca and their siblings and everything. But it was Larry. So me and Larry, how we got connected, we both are into comic books, and we hang out at this local restaurant called Brick House Burgers, and we just talk video games. We talk comic books, right? And so we hang out there. We go to a place called Power Comics, where we get our comic books from. And the owner there, we talk comic books with him all day. We talk football, baseball. So we're just friends. We're friends. We've been knowing each other for 5-6 years now. And so November of 2019, he's like, Ahman, I got the perfect job for you. When he said that, I knew it had to something. I knew it was two things. It was video games or it was sports. It was football. I knew it was like in my head. I'm like, he knows me. It's only got to be football or track or baseball or video games. It's one of those. And sure enough, he said, yeah, Lakeland. He went to school at Lakeland. He was a teacher at Lakeland. He met his wife at Lakeland. So, and his daughters and his kids went to Lakeland too. So for him, it's a family thing. He said, dude, Lakeland has started building out a budget for an esports program. And that means they need an esports coach. And I mentioned your name to the administrators, like, this guy will definitely be the person you need and help build this program. And he's like, so what do you think? I said, man, give me name, address, phone number, email, whoever I need to talk to make this happen. Let's go. Let's get it. And sure enough, he did all that. And I talked to a guy at first named David Simon, he was in charge of the hiring of this position. He was a vice president of campus life. And then the ball just got rolling from there. And then they came to my house. We did an in-face interview first. And then I came to campus like a week later to get a tour of campus and where the facility was going to be at. And met administrators, Dr. David Black, who was the president, and now is Beth Borgen, who is now the new president, I believe the first female school president in Lakeland history. So they're doing big things at Lakeland, along with that and bringing her on. She was already there, but now hiring her as that and then bringing me on as the esports coach last year. It was just like, this is great. I mean, I'm like the first couple, I mean, I was just like, I know I could do this. Then it was like, I'm a video game coach, yo. I'm telling my friends and family, I'm like, my brothers are like, this is a real thing, is it? I'm like, yes, this is real. This is with benefits. I'm getting paid to play video games, to coach video games. It's like, this is real. And for me, I knew it was coming. Like, not that I was going to get this job. I just knew video games, the industry, esports was going on the incline probably since my playing career was over with football, because I paid attention to it. I would go to E3. I started going to E3 in 2011. I was going to Comic-Con, and even at Comic-Con, you would see the influence of video games at Comic-Con. Like, I remember my first time at Comic-Con, which was 2009, and there's a big Microsoft booth that had Gears of War, that had Halo, that had Tekken, and the characters and toys and T-shirts at one half of at the comic. This is a comic book convention, not a video game convention, a comic book. And they had a whole area dedicated just to video games. It was Microsoft. It was Activision there, Blizzard, which they had League of Legends. And that's when, I believe, 2009, it was big Street Fighter, a lot of Street Fighters. It was actually, I played in a Street Fighter tournament. They had little tournaments going on that you could just walk up and sign up. And I did. I played, got to the second round, got beat by a kid, but it was, it's like, this is fun, It's like win or lose, you're having fun, especially if you're into playing video games. So that's when I knew, 2009, I was like, I knew it was going more. And so when I got hired, I was just like, I say, this is just continuing to rise, to see it in other avenues, like this weekend, for example. I'm playing since, there's not a lot of people in Tampa right now because of COVID. I'm gonna be a part of a NFLA, so an NFL alumni ESTV, which I'm an investor on. We're doing a virtual Madden the yard tournament, the new game mode in Madden. So it's myself, and I'm gonna try to recruit. I know I could get them. There's a couple of my players who play Madden, and we play in a couple, just basically a Madden tournament for charity that the NFL Alumni Association and ESTV is putting on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like Thursday is a high school event, Friday is a collegiate event, and then Saturday is a former player, a celebrity event. So that's where I gotta, make sure I got my skills tight, which I'm fine. I've been playing Madden. I haven't played the yard. I've been playing the yard just because I knew it was coming. So I'll be ready to go. It's not about
Any idea who your opponent could end up being?
Shoot, it could be. Hold up. Where's my phone?
Oh, all right.
It was in my phone. I know Shane and Brock Vereen.
Okay.
They could be part of it. JJ Watt.
Uh-oh.
trying to think some young bucks. Darvin James. I played with him against
Ooh.
him already. He's really, really good. Darvin James Jr. Aaron Beasley, who was a safety back in when I'm during my time, and a few more retired players. So regardless of it is, I'm a gamer. I'm ready to go.
I love
And
the confidence, man. It seems like
yeah,
you've had that almost your, at least from what I've seen, your entire public career. I mean, you, it's definitely not cockiness at
no,
all. You're
no,
very humble. You're very sure of it too, and I love that because you're very sure in your skills. You're set in it. So,
yeah.
like you said, when Larry called you and he said, "I have this opportunity for you," and you said in your head you already knew it was either going to be something to do with sports or it was going to be video gaming. The way you're talking about it, it seems like you were really hoping that it was for video games. Is it safe to assume that you were maybe leaning toward I would much rather?
Um, I'll be honest. No, I was
Okay,
because I knew if it had to do with any of those areas I mentioned, football, baseball, track, or just sports and video games, I knew I had it covered. I knew the knowledge, I knew the experience, and if I didn't know, I knew the people I could call. Be like, hey, I need a little help here. Help, give me some homework to do so I could get my knowledge up on something. Because like I hadn't coached baseball in a while, but I played it and I coached it too for a little bit. I did some off-season internships with local high schools here in the Green Bay area where I played 2000, 2001, and I would still watch it. So I kind of knew, like I knew the little details about, throwing a baseball, catching a baseball, hitting a baseball. I know everything had to be level. I know you gotta, keep your head down, swinging the bat, and you gotta, make sure your feet go here, your back goes here, your hands are you throwing them hands out there with the bat. With throwing the ball, I know it's all come from your core. It's not just your arm. If it's talking to a pitcher, or if it's talking to an outfielder, how to throw a strike from outfield to get somebody out at home plate. It's like you got to throw your whole body into it, and that's where the power, that's where the accuracy comes from. And then you just let it go. So baseball was in the, I knew it, and if I didn't know it, I was gonna study it. I was gonna find out. And that's the one thing about I say coaching and the way I am. If I don't know it, I'll admit it. I admit it to these players, my esports players now. Look, I'm not a League of Legends player. I told them that day one. I said, but I will learn. I said, but I do know this. I know about teamwork. I know I know about being on a team. And League of Legends is being on a team. And so I need you guys have to have great communication among one another. Everybody has to know the strategy of what's going to go down in a game, and everybody has to know their role and play it. And everybody was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." Minus that you don't know the champions' names and what they do, but that's one the majority of what we need to do. There was like it's like three things I needed to like four. It was four things I needed to know. I knew three of the four things. That they were like, oh, because they were like, well, you're honest that you don't know the game. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie or act like I know something I don't know, because that's not gonna benefit you. I was like, and that's gonna hurt me because then I'm telling y'all a tale. I was like, I don't know it, I don't know it, but I know what I know how to study it. I know how to research it, and I'll find out. I'm a quick learner, and so in a couple weeks after that, I was still dibble dabbling, and sure enough, I was spouting out stuff. They were like, "Okay, yeah, you get it. Yeah, you definitely understand League now." Now it's just me working on the. I'm not have done a whole lot of mouse and keyboard action, so just getting used to that.
yeah, I can't imagine how hard that is. I hear YouTube gamers all the time saying that they prefer the keyboard over controllers. In my head, I've always used controllers. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it where I'm game lingual. I'm making that a word now. Just like you say you bilingual, you can
I
speak
like
multiple.
that.
I'm gonna be game lingual because everybody's like, oh, like it's a PC master race and it's console gamers or this and that and they ain't good. I'm like, I'm a gamer. Period. Let's put this out. I play games. It could be Tonk. It could be Remy. It could be Madden. It could be Clash Royale. It could be League of Legends, Fortnite, Valorant on computer, only controller, math, and keyboard. It don't matter. I'm gonna be good at it. Just know that's coming. And like, that's what a true gamer is. I know they say these PC. Yeah, PC is great. You know, if you know how to play it, awesome. But don't do the stuff. Don't start doing division. I grew up in LA, Crips and Bloods. That wasn't good. Let's not repeat that. Okay.
I couldn't agree more with that.
Oh man.
That's one of the truest statements I think I've heard in quite a while. So
yeah, let's be together. That's what I love about gaming. It's like it brings everybody from every background, man, woman, and child, no matter who you are, where you're from. I could talk to people, you know, someone, a male, female, Middle Eastern, Asian, white, American, or white general, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I learned, you know, I do this shot on a Halo, and they'd be like, oh, you play Halo, oh, you know, or I know I start talking League and then talking League talk. They're like, oh, you play League, it's like, and then totally different backgrounds. Where are we from, you know? And that's the beauty for me. That's the beauty of esports, of video games in general.
And it's funny you say that about getting to meet people from all walks of life. And there was a segment I saw on YouTube a while back, and this is something I want to get your opinion on because I didn't know when this actually started, but it used to be called nerd culture. At what point did nerd culture become pop culture? Because things like Dragon Ball Z,
Yes.
the comic books, cartoons, all those things just seem so nerdy back in the day. But I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan.
And that's
love
the anime world, and that's the anime world, and that's
exactly.
a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And and video games being programmers, things like that, obviously gets lumped into that so-called nerd culture. But
yeah,
as I said, it has become the pop culture of this day and age. Where do you think that happened?
It's a great question. I'm gonna say on the spot here, it had to happen at the turn of the century. So between 1995 and 1999 or 2000, in that time frame, I believe that's when they pretty much all clashed together. Because I mean, just from my experience, going from NFL, I mean, I even played a little bit of rugby along with the baseball trip that I did too. I was always playing video games at that time, and then then starting to go into my yearly journey to Comic-Con, my yearly journey to E3 for the past 10 years. I started then, as I say, cross pollinating or cross platform, as it is a word now, running into people in the anime world but they are gamers. They're huge into Pokemon, huge into Dragon Ball, Death Note, JoJo, and then other new
there's so many you can't even bring up.
I say my stepdaughter, she got me into Death Note, which I loved. I watched all of them. And there was another one, Screen Art or Sword Art Online. That one. I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't get deep into it. But like I said, those worlds are always crossing over from sports to anime. Like I've been to the Crunchyroll convention in San Jose, and that's nothing but anime. And then some of the anime is video games like Dragon Ball Z, like Pokemon. Those are the big pillars of the anime world here in America. But you go overseas over to China and Japan and Korea, that's their thing. And it's you gotta don't fake the funk. You better come in there and either know it or don't know it. Because then if you don't know it, they'll teach you.
Yeah.
And if you fake the funk, they're gonna be like, you might get a Kung Fu and somebody gonna go Goku on you, Super Saiyan. Because you'd be like,
you can't fake it till you make it there.
No, you cannot fake that you know anime.
Yeah.
You cannot fake that you know DC Universe.
Those fans will eat you alive.
Fans will chew you up, spit you out. They'll hawk you how Hulk did Loki. That'll be you. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be Loki because the fans are just like Husker fans. They're passionate about their stuff they read, what they write, what the writers write, the toys they buy, the Funko Pops, the sideshow statues, all that stuff. They just like the Packer fans, the Husker, like people that I meet that is only a Husker fan or only a Packer fan. I explain to them They like, what is it? Why is these video games this and these comic books? I'm like, just like you love the Packers and the Huskers, they love Batman. They love Goku. They love, Sword Art Online. It's the same type of fandom. It's something that whatever grabbed them when they were younger or as a young adult, it grabbed them and like it's pulling on the heartstrings that they love the character. They love the story. It related to them in some way, shape, or form. That's the part of it. And the same with me. Like I admit I'm not big into anime, but I do. Like I said, my stepdaughter introduced me to Death Note, and so I would watch that from time. I already finished. I watched it through one time. Now I'm getting a little itch to start watching it again, just to get reminded of the characters, the storyline, the craziness that went on between the I say the quasi villain that was using the the notebook to do his dirty work, all that stuff. It was a crazy, interesting story. And Netflix they did an okay job with a movie adaptation with the one guy that I can't think of his name now, but he was
Willem
in
Dafoe. Willem Dafoe did the voice of
right.
the creature. I forget the
The creep.
creature's
Oh
name. Well,
God, what's his name?
I was only ever introduced to Death Note with that movie, so and then I went back and watched some of the cartoons, and I got to admit,
Yeah,
the movie you had to take it with a grain of salt a little bit, but
yeah,
Willem Dafoe as the creature's voice, you couldn't have found anyone better.
yeah. And then the actor that was in Get Out, that was the
That's right.
police officer. They flipped it. They instead of making it an Asian character, it was an African American character. That was D. Was his name D? I think it was D.
Yeah, he
Might have
was the
been.
one that would sit on the back edge of the
Yeah, he kind of
chair,
sit in his chair
like perched.
this.
Yeah, perched like a bird almost.
So yeah, he did it. I thought he did a good job. But
Amazing job.
when I really think about anime, I was into Voltron as a kid. That's anime. Voltron was awesome.
That was a gorgeous cartoon.
I got the 5 lions sitting right over here in a Lego set that I put together last year.
Oh,
It is so sweet. I was so happy to get that. I think I got it for Christmas or my birthday last year.
You're a
And
lucky
I put
man.
it together. Hey, Legos is where it's at. I haven't put it together yet, but I got Batman. I got the Batwing from the 1989 Batman in a box. And I have the Ecto-1 Ghostbusters.
Oh man, you haven't put these together yet?
I just got them.
Oh man,
just
all right.
for Christmas. So they bought it this weekend, Super Bowl weekend. They getting put together.
Oh man,
I'm gonna be gaming and Legoing.
You got to put pictures up on Twitter. You got to post them.
I'll post them for sure.
I gotta see that. I can't wait to see that. All right, we've gone through obviously your athletic career. We've gone through your coaching career, which the coaching part of it, that one floored me when I researched it, because when I saw a head coach on your header on Twitter, I'm like, okay, he's coaching football somewhere now. And when I found out you were an esports head coach, I was just like, I can't wait to read more on this. It floored me. All right, so we covered that. Now we'll cover kind of what you do in your personal time. You have Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge, which you stream live every Wednesday on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Now, where'd the idea for that come from?
It just, so for me, I grew up watching. So now, like, yeah, you say you're down into the personal side. Like what I did as a kid, it started as a kid. So, me being the baby, and I was the last out the house. So I had to entertain myself. So obviously I was doing a lot of playing video games, going outside, playing with my friends in the neighborhood. But then when I was in the house, getting ready for bed, having done my schoolwork, or it's a Saturday night and I'm at home all night, flicking around on the TV, trying to find something to watch, I got into different shows. In Los Angeles, it was a local show that it would basically like go explore Los Angeles. So it'll tell you where the fancy food was, or the nice restaurants with 5-star ratings were at in LA. And it's LA because it's Hollywood, it's USC, it's Trojan, it's the Trojans, it's the Bruins, it's the Lakers, it's the Dodgers. At that time, in the 80s, LA was LA. From a fun standpoint, you could come to California, Los Angeles, Southern California, and have fun. Disneyland, all that stuff. So I would watch shows like that. It kind of piqued my interest. I was like, oh, it's telling me where things are at. And that's where I kind of got into geography. It's like knowing where things are is actually kind of fun. Because for one, you're never lost. And you know where to go to enjoy yourself. If you want to go watch a movie, here's this theater here that plays these movies.
If you want to go to a park, you could hike this park or go to the beach here. Just knowing that stuff, it caught my interest. So it kind of sprouted from there. And then as I grew up, and then cable television started, and I'm watching. That's how I got into rugby, because I'm like tuning in at 3 a.m, our time, West Coast time, and I'm watching these guys, and I'm like, I think this is football. There's no huddles though, and they could get up when they get tackled. What the heck? I'm like, then I'm reading the rules. I'm listening to them they got a weird accent, but I know they're speaking English, and I'm like, rugby, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm watching. I'm like, dude, I could do this. And so I'm watching this as I grow older. It just different things like that interest me. It's like I like to show. It's kind of like my coaching. I like to teach people things that's something they may not know. And so the Gamers Lounge popped up because it was just what I had seen in the gaming world, watching Twitch streamers and what they did. I was always researching them. I would stream before my stream, after my stream, I'm watching, certain streamers. I'm watching the popular streamers like Shroud and Ninja and what they do. Or I might watch some unknown streamer that they might be unknown to everybody, but they have 300 people concurrently watching them. So they're doing something to pique people's interest to watch them. So I'm researching, just doing a little homework. Then I saw it a little bit. I didn't see it enough. I was like, you know what? There's no show that I see on Twitch, because I'm basically creating my own show that describes the gamer lifestyle. Gamer lifestyle is what we just got finished talking about. We're talking about traditional sports. We're talking about anime. We're talking about video games. We're talking about the fun stuff that's going on around us. What's on stream? Like we have so it started a couple years ago. It just didn't start this year. It started back in 2017. It was local here in the Green Bay area. I was working at a local station. It was a CBS affiliate, and I told them that's what. Like I said, I'm dropping my knowledge on them on esports. I said we got to do some esports, because I was doing traditional. I was covering the Packers, pregame and postgame, and I said to them, we got to get something. I say, have you heard of Twitch? And they like, no. All right, let me teach you what Twitch is. Let me show you what Twitch is. We went on the computer, boom, boom, boom. They're like, wow. They're like, they had no idea. And I'm like, okay, good. You just learned something new. All right, let me show you YouTube. I showed them YouTube and what people were doing on YouTube. And I was like, all right, let's take those two. YouTube is recorded. Twitch is live, but it does save. So that means it's on demand. So it will never disappear. The content will always be there. I was like, let's develop a show where we're just talking about it. Video games, movies, the action, what's going on in traditional sports. Like, so it started off with me doing a show with one of their young producers there at the network, where we talked. We started the show talking all video games. We talked all video games. What was the games coming out? What's the games that we've been playing on our own? And then we went into pop culture, where we talked about what movies or TV shows that we think are popular, that we like, that we watch, recommendations for the viewers. And then we would preview major movies coming out. And of course, we got tagged right away by the DMC in Hollywood. It was like, oh, you can't be previewing movies that y'all don't know or have the rights to, So which was fine. It's like, all right, now so it's like, what can we do? They said we could preview them without the volume. So that means we could talk over it. I'm like, oh, so we preview and let them preview roll, and then we're talking over, like we're saying so and so, Denzel or Tom Cruise is in this movie. We're just talking about the movie while it previews, as long as it didn't have the actual sound. So we worked around that.
You get to give your own in-film commentary.
Exactly, for the preview of a Marvel movie coming out, or the next Tom Cruise movie coming out, or Denzel and Will Smith movie. So it was fun, and so that's where it started. It rooted, and then I ran into some gamers that. How did I run into? So I ran into Nixie and my man Jake, and he goes by the name of Beef Angus. Great name on Twitch. And
that.
I'm trying to remember how I met up with him. God. Oh, I think it was Microsoft Contact. I knew, and but I can't remember it right now. I can't. I'm putting myself on front street. But long story short, we met, and they were gamers now, and they had the same aspirations. They had their own Twitch. She has her own Twitch channel. Jake, he dibble dabbled a little bit, but he was more behind the scenes guy, working the camera, getting the audio work fixed and all that. So then we started to do a Twitch show, similar rundown. We were talking about video games, talking about traditional sports. We would talk about basketball, baseball, who's leading the North Division or the NFC North in here, who's in college level. I would talk about Nebraska and how they're doing in football, baseball, and basketball. That's how we would end the show. We will start the show with video games and then end the show with traditional sports and then what's going on in the world today. And then that carried into then me doing sports talk out of Madison, Wisconsin for about a year about 6 months, I say. And then a guy from iHeartMedia contacted me. It's like he wants to meet me. And we just so happened, we met 2 years ago, the 2019 season, when there was football and people were, or there was people in the stands, I would say.
Yeah.
And his name was Drew. And we just happened to meet at an autograph signing I was doing the day. It was right after a game or right before a game. It was after a game. And when he shook my hand, he gave me his card. Ahman, call me. I'm in Madison, but I work for iHeartMedia. I'm trying to, we want to do some things. And then I was like, great, kept his card, followed up with him. And then I went down there. I was already down there doing a sports talk and then met up with him and really started digging in and talking about this esports stuff. And I just I blew his socks off pretty much in terms of my knowledge, who I knew, what I had been through, what I knew about the world of video games and esports, and going to cons, going to conventions, playing in tournaments myself, shoutcasting, being a content creator, all this. I'm giving for one, I'm teaching him stuff because a lot of it he didn't know of. He's like content, like streamer, fragger, like just talking about different words in the video game world was just eye-opening to him. And then he could see where we could take it. And so this time last year, along with me getting hired at Lakeland, I had started doing the Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge podcast. And it was me, Ben, and John. And then we started off with a few guests early. And then we couldn't get a whole lot of guests. And that's okay. It was like we just roll the show with just us three, talking about what's on stream, the current topics in the video game world right now. Like I said, what's on stream, talking about what TV shows and movies we've seen that we recommend that you watch. Game releases, new games coming out, popular games, and we'll pick one or two of them, three of them to talk about and say, hey, go get this one or check it out or download it if you can. It sounds fun. And then we play a game it's not even a game. It's just more of a conversation called This or That. And it's just picking between, just saying, hey, all right, so are you, would you rather, or it's like either would you rather or this would be, be a, let me see, what's a good one? What's one for this neighborhood that that's listening in? I say, and it's an easy answer. I just put this was the easy one. So I'll say, would it be Cornhuskers or Jayhawks?
Yeah. I mean, that's just a given.
That's an easy one. That's an easy one. It's like go Cornhuskers all day. So it's a conversation, and then we find out stuff. Because I remember one. Let me see, what was it? Recently, we had some fun ones where we find out, people. The last week was, would you rather be, or so not would you rather, so this or that, show up late to a date, or get stood up, or stand that person up.
Ooh. Yeah, I'd probably just show up late because I'm usually late to things. So they'd find out that's just par for the course with me.
Exactly. And so it's questions like that. And you wouldn't believe the answers to that one. That was actually interesting because it was like one of the answers was, well, I'd rather either show up late or that girl show up late to me, because that means if she shows up late, she was still interested. I was like, good point. So you find out things about folks,
Yeah.
So we do that, and the show runs about 45 minutes to an hour, and we have a good time. And like I said, we're getting a lot of steam behind it. We're actually going national here in a few weeks at the end of February through iHeartMedia, and excited about it. We're getting a lot of guests now. We have a company, 4 Models, that I'm with now, and also working with them to get guests on. So we had a guy by the name of, we had a couple players, esports players, pros, one by the name of O'Leary. He's an NBA 2K player. He was on last week, and he's a free agent. So the draft is coming up, I believe, next month for the NBA 2K League, and he'll be trust me, he'll be on the team. Whatever team he's on, I'm following, because he's a great guy. He has a great story behind him. The week before that was a kid by the name of Drew Bonolista, and he goes by the name of Frozone on Twitch. He's a big caller. He's probably one of the best Call of Duty Warzone players, and he's in the top 5 of event earnings and the top 5 of wins, wins, I believe.
He's doing so well. I've actually heard of him. So I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. So we interviewed him 2 weeks ago, which is a great talk. And so this week we have Amulet, one of the first female gamers. She plays for Digitas. And actually, I interviewed her coach, Heather Grazio, who is actually a Wisconsinite. She grew up kind of like me, playing video games with her brothers. And then she's basically been a pioneer in her own right as a female gamer, coming up in the industry, becoming a manager, one of the department heads for Digitas, one of the biggest esports organizations in the United States. They were bought by the Philadelphia 76ers, so they own them, and now Digitas is doing big things in the gaming world. So we have an Amulet, she is a CSGO player and one of the best best female and best players overall in the world. Having her on the interview this week on Wednesday. We record on Wednesday and it goes live on Friday up on the iHeart Media app or Apple Podcasts.
Wow, man, I'll tell you, it seems like you just taken this from basically a minor planted seed and you're literally growing this thing into a huge redwood. It seems like you're not going to be satisfied with it until it's like a syndicated show across cable TV. Am I right in saying that? Is that something that you'd be down for?
That's where it's going. Because we're getting a lot of tread behind it. A lot of people behind us. We got iHeart Media behind us for one, and then we got local sponsors already supporting us. We got a company called Code Ninjas. I know it's in the Omaha and Lincoln area, and they have a thing called the XP League, where it's basically developing little leagues in video games. So, when you just think about when we were 5, 6, 7 years old, now we could jump into either a Fortnite league, a Minecraft league, a Roblox league, and start the basic levels of competition. And just like we had little league coaches for flag football, for t-ball, now we have adults there that did it, that know it, and then now can train younger generations in little league. So if a kid, obviously, it's now where in my head I'm looking at it where, okay, you have the kid, I grew up with them, which I supported them. I try to help them out. Kids that are not very athletic, they get, it's about a confidence level. Oh, I can't run as fast as you, Ahman. I can't jump as high as you, Ahman. I'm like, that's cool. Just do what you do. Do what you can do, and we're gonna win. We're gonna, I was one of them little leaders in my elementary school that I had friends that they were like, man, I can't do that. I'm like, that's okay. Just do what you can, and I'll help out. In the game if we're playing basketball, we're playing baseball, because obviously everybody feels like when they play a sport, you got to be really fast or you got to be really strong. And I'm like, look, you just participating, you giving it, you playing your best to your ability, you're doing something. Because a lot of people don't like when they get to that point, they're like, I'm not even gonna try. I'm like, no, at least try. I remember telling kids this when I was a kid, like 8, 9 years old. I'm like, just try, and I'll help you out. If you can't stick him, I'll come double team him with you. And then we're doing it together on the basketball court. And I just remember when I was a kid doing that. And it's the same thing now with telling people, about getting into video games and them understanding it. And it's like, just give it a try. You don't know what you might like. And as long as you have a support system, you can pretty much do what you feel you can do. So just giving the players that confidence at a young age, and now it's doing the same thing that the coaches did for me and did for you in little league sports, traditional sports, is happening in esports as well.
Man, see, this is why I'm really glad we started talking about this, because this is stuff that, as I said before, most people that follow your athletic career, this is stuff they may not know that you're even into these days. Some of them may have stopped hearing what the heck you were doing once your football career was over, which if you did that, anybody, I don't know what you were thinking. You had to know this guy was going to do something. All right, so we can transition out of that, and this will be the last thing before I wind it down here. What is the Ahman Green Foundation?
It's the foundation's been around since 2001, and it was basically created. It was basically my mission, and to basically give back to the community and to the families that where I once was, and to help out families in need that are dealing with any type of, I say, um, I say bad time. And in the beginning, it was mostly families dealing with cancer and Alzheimer's, because that's where my dad, my stepdad, all passed. My dad's passed away from prostate cancer. My stepdad passed away from liver cancer. And then, and before all that, though, that's where I was pushing the drive because of just to give families that support if it was a medical need, finances to pay for their medical bills, dealing with that stuff. And because we know it's not just the person going through the fight of cancer, the fight of of Alzheimer's or any virus, it's also the family because they are the caretakers of that person sometimes because their insurance doesn't cover something or whatever it is. I give them through my foundation. I was fundraising for families to help their financial need, to put a smile on their face, to donate my time and effort, and have other people that volunteered with me and my foundation. They would give their time and effort to bring attention to any ailments. Because there's one kid I know he's older now, but he was a young kid in Omaha. He had a rare blood disorder, and it was a blood disorder I've never heard of, but it helped bring awareness to his disorder. And I believe he and his mom, he got into acting. I believe I know he got into acting a little bit. I'm not sure if he's still doing it now. I'm gonna look him up and see if he still is. I hope he still is, because for him and what he's dealing with on a daily basis with the blood disorder, and able to still want to be aspirational and still do stuff, be motivated to do things when most people may not want to do something because they don't feel good, or they don't, they have the deformities from the virus, like the blood disorder, made his, that deformed his body, his arms and stuff. So, but that didn't stop him. That was the excitement of me helping him, because just seeing his outlook, the way he could have looked at it, the way he spent it in his head, it was like, this is just me. And so I'm gonna still do this stuff. And he's, at that time when I did the event, Kyle Cades, that was his name, Kyle Cades. I did a bowling event over in Council Bluffs, and that was 2012 or 13, and he might have been 6, 7 years old now. So he probably like 16, 17 now. And I hope he's still, doing this thing. I hope because I've seen a couple TV or commercials that he did. His mom sent us that he got into a few commercials later that year or the following year, and I was like, I hope he's still doing it. Cal, I believe it's Cal Cades was his name, or is his name.
So then, how would somebody get in touch with you to be involved with the foundation?
Oh, that's real easy. Just contact me any on my social media accounts, Ahman Green 30 on Instagram and Twitter, just like you contacted me. The website it's kind of, I'm not sure if that website is going. We've been had different administrators running it, and we haven't been in contact with them. But I say the easy way is just contact me on my social media channels. I'll get out to you. So I get information to you, get information to me, because right now I've been still doing foundation events with other people, or helping out their causes by signing a jersey or a helmet and sending it to the event, and whatever it raises, then great. That's my effort to give to that. But a long time ago, I was doing a local Alzheimer's golf event for Alzheimer's Association chapter up here in Wisconsin. I helped a few times down for the Alzheimer's chapter in there in Omaha over the years. Cancer Research Fund, American Heart Foundation, American Heart Foundation. I've done stuff with them over pretty much my whole time living in Wisconsin for sure. But then the chapters in Nebraska and Lincoln and Omaha, in Milwaukee and Madison and Green Bay area. I've been helping out in any foundation way, shape, or in form of since 2002, since 2001.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you what, man, I got way more out of this than I ever thought I was gonna. Man, this has been amazing. I'm glad this has finally happened. It's been a road to get here, but we got here. That's all
Yeah,
that matters.
yeah, exactly.
I will turn it over to you real quick and let everybody know things you may have coming up that they can tune into, where they can find you on social medias. I'll let you plug. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So I already mentioned my Twitter and Instagram. Ahman Green 30, all one word. With my own Twitch channel, it's technically I have two now. Right now is Ahman Green TV, but then the other one is Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge, which it gets simultaneously streamed on Wednesday afternoon between 11 and 1 o'clock. Is then so that's the visual is the Ahman Green Gamers Lounge, but then the recording it goes on iHeartRadio app and Apple Podcasts or wherever you down your podcast. That's Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. That's then live on Fridays now. And I say this week, Lakeland University esports, we're going into our first college COD season starting tonight. So we have both teams. We have two teams. We have LU Gold and LU Blue playing again. Actually, in a few weeks, we play Lincoln. We play the Huskers. My B team, my Lakeland Blue team plays Nebraska. I think next Monday or the Monday after that, which is very special to me because that's my school. And I was like, I can't wait to see what they got down there versus my team up here in Wisconsin. So that's in the next couple of weeks. So check out. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see the schedule on there. And if you go to Lakeland Esports on Instagram as well, you can check out the schedule. Or you go to collegecod.com. Type that in. You can see the schedules for the season. And we play Wisconsin. So my LU Gold team plays Wisconsin, plays the Badgers. Then my LU Blue team plays Nebraska. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, so that starts tonight. And then Friday and Saturday, I'm playing in it since, NFL, everything is virtual now for this year. There's a collegiate NFLA ESTV Madden the Yard tournament. So it's myself and I'm gonna recruit. I already told one of my players I'm gonna let another player know. So we'll play from 2 to 5 on Friday in a charity event. I believe it has to do with the American Heart Society or American Heart Association. Let me check my messages here. Yeah, it is the American Cancer Society Madden the Yard Celebrity Legends Challenge from February 3rd to February 6th. So Wednesday to Saturday. So I'm partaking on the Friday and Saturday with my college players, and then so Friday with my college players, and Saturday I got to find some other players or maybe find the same players and use it in a celebrity event. I'll use them on Saturday afternoon from 2 to 5 Central Standard Time. And trying to think anything else. And then we have the big launch of Ahman Green's Gamer Lounge will be going, like I say, a bigger national launch on February at the end of the month, like between February 24th and February 25th. But I'll send you a text to let you know, Brian, and let everybody else see you on Twitter as well. Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect. Ahman, thank you so much. Guys, you will be able to find this on YouTube, of course, at Brian Knutson, of course. You can find me on Twitter at Knutson_Brian. You can find the spinoff page. Unfortunately, I'd make you give you an actual name for Facebook, so spinoff had to be under my name. Yeah. You'll be able to find the audio on our podcast, the Scarlet and the Cream Husker podcast. You'll be able to find that anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Libsyn. I am having trouble uploading the audio with Libsyn. We've had an issue with the account, so I'll have the audio up as soon as possible, but this will be up on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching this, it's already on there, so don't need to tell them that.
Yeah. And I almost forgot. So on Instagram, AG_Gamers Lounge on Instagram for Ahman Green's Gamers Lounge. And it's the same on Twitter, AG_Gamers Lounge on Twitter as well. So almost forgot.
Hey, there you go. That's why I give that little extra time, just in case. So everybody, you've heard it. You know where to find this guy. And honestly, you just need to Google his name. That's all you got to do. So, Ahman, thank you so much for everybody that's watching. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying this. We've got more coming. There's plenty more coming. So this has been the spinoff, and hopefully we will see you again this next week. Ahman, hopefully we can have you on again sometime.
Hey, for sure. Thanks for having me, Brian.
You bet. Thank you.